Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. In this video, we'll discuss the recent event and the highlighting of the mutiny which took place in India in 1850s and the whole scenario around that mutiny and the way it's been brought up. The mutiny, or the so-called mutiny, or the Spoy mutiny, or various names it has, it's a bit like what happening in India at the moment, this so-called election. A facade, a staged drama by absolute fascists. The case is, yesterday's fascists have changed their name, but they have the same agenda they had that day. But the faces are different. Maybe some flags and some new idiotic parties, overnightly staged parties are there, but the so-called facade remains the same. You have to understand, historically, every major event in history must not be understood by what the event on its own. It must be understood as to how the event was started and what came out as the result of that event. These are fundamental facts of understanding how history and the truth about history. One of the fundamental facts behind the mutiny, or the so-called mutiny, or what you can call in reality a nonsense animal rights movement, because you have to understand this so-called mutiny, as it's been highlighted in Punjab at the moment and in India in generally, because the politicians in there are running out of policies. They're totally, politicians in India have lost the people. The people don't want to engage with politics because what they have given the people of that region is suffering, cancer, AIDS, poverty, killing, war, and ethnic cleansing, one way or another, in the name of caste, religion, and in the name of Hindu fascism. Everything is justified. So that's why this so-called event has been highlighted, because the politics and the politicians in that region have no effect. They keep on staging these overnight parties. They give them these fancy names, these socialist ideologies, a day in and a day out. They call it Aam Aadmi Party. They call it, I don't know what party. They call it, what they're going to call it next? The Aam Aurat Party? You see, because socialism is all about equality. So if you already made a Aam Aadmi Party, you might as well make a Aam Aurat Party. So you have to understand these little staged events and what these events in generally are taking place in that country. So people are totally detached with politics, and that's why they are creating these fake events from history and trying to replicate them and use them to save their own skin. As far as mutiny is concerned, it is very clear that the mutiny at that time, what was the final effect of that so-called mutiny? What was the result of the mutiny? It was the consolidation of power to imperialism. You see, you have to understand who started the mutiny. Mr. Pandey, the head of this so-called mutiny. Because you have to understand, this is a aimless movement, a movement which has no goals at all. Only thing it could be described as is merely an animal rights movement To describe them as national heroes and martyrs is literally an attack on the people of that region and common sense. It's dumbing down of people to a degree that they are willing to buy anything, whatever the state is selling, in the name of Hindu fascism. Now, the idea of the whole mutiny, the idea behind the mutiny is about cows and the fat of cows being used as lubricants for the bullets and X, Y, and Z. And because of that, the majority of firstly, this is what something has to be understood. These are the people who were part of the East Indian companies. These are soldiers of East Indian companies who have created a mutiny based on fat used for lubrication and other nonsense in the bullets and the materials. Firstly, you have to understand, it is not a freedom movement. It has no legitimate grievances. So these people had no grievances with a foreign imperialistic power coming, ruling their land, taking over their land, bringing tyranny to their land, raping, looting, pillaging their people. No, they had no problem with it. Everything was okay. Oh, when the cow gets involved, you have to really put this to the test of history. So you can kill, murder, rape, loot, everything. But when the cow gets involved, oh, that's when the mutiny starts. Staged mutiny to consolidate power from one dying regime to another. Who are the people behind this staged mutiny? You have to understand. A meeting took place. This is a historic meeting between the coalition, which was in power before the British Empire came. And this is between the Pahari Raja or the Aryan kings and the Mughal Empire. And the Pahari Raja or the Aryans understood absolutely that the Mughal imperialism was dead, and the coalition they had with them had run its time, and it was time for this imperialism has run its course, and it was dying, and it was dead, because that's what the Prince, Mr. Shah, said at that time. So therefore these people jumped ship and funded and orchestrated a staged event. This mutiny, to put into perspective historically, is a coup. It's a coup d'etat of these people taking over complete power in India. Because you have to remember, descendants of these people, these Pahari Raja, are still the biggest power brokers in that country. It is from that event which leads to this massive consolidation of power, which is staged till today. And you have to remember, what was the source of that whole staged event? Cows, fat being used into lubrication and the leather and this, that, the other. A complete attack on common sense and the senses of the people of the region in the name of Hindutva, or the Hindu fascism, to be exact. That's where this mutiny, this so-called, this is a completely staged event. To see it any otherwise is complete stupidity. Utter and complete stupidity to see it any way else. It's a staged event. And there are historic facts regarding this mutiny, how it was started. It is claimed by the media and in India that this mutiny was against the British Empire. The facts couldn't be far from the truth in that matter, because it was started by the British. This mutiny was started because when the old coalition between the Mughals and the Pahari Raja died, Pahari Raja jumped ship with the East India Company and formed a new coalition to form a new territory which is in charge till today. And that's what the coup was all about. The coup was in the name of a pig and a cow. There's nothing wrong, millions of people dying, foreign imperialism coming in, raping, murdering, looting, people dying of hunger, people implementation of genocidal policies of eugenics, anti-humanist policies being implemented. Oh, nothing wrong with that. Oh, when it comes to the cow, that's when the problems start. This is a staged coup, we need to understand. These so-called fake heroes and these fake parties which are started overnight, they're nothing more. Let me be very clear. They're nothing more than this stupid coup which took place then. Because if we keep on giving in to these coups and ideologies again and again, because they're going to keep on... This is a working principle. This so-called mutiny is a successful coup. And the principle behind this coup has been used again and again and again, because so-called India, this movement for cow protection or whatever you like to call it, it's a major political issue even till today. So killing human beings is okay. You can massacre the Christians, you can burn their churches, you can rape the nuns in the churches, you can burn the Sikh gurdwaras, attack them with tanks, you can burn the Muslims, you can burn, loot, pillage, everything. But when it comes to the cow, the national politics of that country changes. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to wake up to the reality of what is happening in that region. Hindu fascism is using this religious ideology, this superstitious religious nonsense, absolute utter nonsense. As far as the facts are concerned, I'll refer to two facts of Brahmin mythology. It is completely legitimate for a Brahmin to consume a meat of a cow any day of the week. Manu Simriti is first, it's very clear in that. Rigved is another, which is very clear that the Aryan can consume any meat of any animal, even human beings, but that's a separate issue on its own, but of the cow of any day of the week. So what is this coup about? This is an attack on people's senses. We need to wake up to this attack. Wake up to reality, because without waking up to reality, we will always be fooled by these staged events. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.